हरे कृष्णा। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद् His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai। ISKCON Founder Acharya BBD Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai। Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. This morning we are continuing our reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 6, Text number 10. Shri Radha Gokulananda Bhagwan ki jai, Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman Gaur Nitai ki jai. 3.6.10. This chapter is entitled Creation of the Universal Form, text number 10. Smaran Vishwasrijam Isho Vigyapitam Adhokshajah Virajam Atapat Svena Tejasaisham Vivruttaye Smaran Vishwasrijam Isho Vigyapitam Adhokshajah Virajam Atapatsvena Tejasaisham Vivruttaye Smaran Vishwasrijam Isho Vigyapitam Adhokshajah Virajam Atapatsvena Tejasaisham Vivruttaye Smaran Vishwasrijam Isho Vigyapitam Adhokshajah Virajam Atapatsvena Tejasaisham Vivruttaye Smaran Vishwasrijamisho Vishwasrijamisho Vigyapitam Adhokshajah Virajam Atapatsvena Tejasaisham Vivruttaye. Word to word meaning: Smaran, remembering, Vishwasrijam, of the demigods entrusted with the task of cosmic construction. Isha, the Supreme Lord. Vigyapitam, as he was prayed for. Adhokshajah, the transcendence. Virajam, the gigantic universal form. Atapat, considered thus. Svena, by his own. Tejasa, energy. esham, for them, vivrittaye, for understanding. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The Supreme Lord is the super soul of all the demigods, entrusted with the task of constructing the cosmic manifestation. Being thus prayed to by the demigods, he thought to himself and thus manifested the gigantic form for their understanding. Purport. The impersonalists are captivated by the gigantic universal form of the Supreme. They think that the control behind this gigantic manifestation is imagination. Intelligent persons, however, can estimate the value of the cause by observing the wonders of the effects. For example, the individual human body does not develop from the womb of the mother independently, but because the living entity, soul, is within the body. Without the living entity, a material body cannot automatically take shape or develop. When any material object displays development, it must be understood that there is a spiritual soul within the manifestation. The gigantic universe has developed gradually, just as the body of a child develops. The conception that the transcendence enters within the universe is therefore logical. As the materialist cannot find the soul and supersoul within the heart, similarly, for want of sufficient knowledge, they cannot see that Supreme Soul is the cause of the universe. The Lord is therefore described in the Vedic language as Avan Manasa Gocharaha, beyond the conception of words and minds. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, the mental speculators try to bring the Supreme within the purview of words and minds. But the Lord refuses to be so intelligible. The speculator has no adequate words or mind to gauge the infinity of the Lord. The Lord is called Adhokshaja, or the person who is beyond perception by the blunt, limited potency of our senses. One cannot perceive the transcendental name or form of the Lord by mental speculation. The mundane PhDs are completely unable to speculate on the Supreme with their limited senses. Such attempts by the puffed up PhDs are compared to the philosophy of frog in the well. A frog in a well was informed of the gigantic Pacific Ocean, and he began to puff himself up in order to understand or measure the length and breadth of the Pacific Ocean. Ultimately, the frog burst and died. The title PhD can also be interpreted as plough department, a title meant for the tillers in the paddy field. The attempt of the tillers in the paddy field to understand the cosmic manifestation and the cause behind such wonderful work can be compared to the endeavor of the frog in the well to calculate the measurement of the Pacific Ocean. The Lord can reveal Himself only to a person who is submissive and who engages in His transcendental loving service. The demigods controlling the elements and ingredients of universal affairs prayed to the Lord for guidance, and thus He manifested His gigantic form as He did at the request of Arjuna. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Translation once again. The Supreme Lord is the super soul of all the demigods entrusted with the task of constructing the cosmic manifestation. Being thus prayed to by the demigods, he thought to himself and thus manifested the gigantic form for their understanding. Hare Krishna. So welcome all the devotees for morning Srimad Bhagavatam class today. Hare Krishna. Seek blessings from all devotees to speak something from Srimad Bhagavatam. Many senior Vaishnavis are sitting here, and Maharaj is also here. Hare Krishna Maharaj. So this is a very beautiful chapter entitled Creation of the Universal Form. A brief background, we are discussing this third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which has Samvad, conversation between Maitreya Muni and Vidura Mahatma. Maitreya Muni is a very aged scholar, great devotee. He is a disciple of Parashara Rishi and a contemporary of Vedvyas, a friend of Vedvyas, Prabhupada says. And Vidura is a great Mahabhagavat. He is on his travels. He is happy to be away from Hastinapur, from all that politics. He is roaming around and he is having a wonderful tour. And in his tour he comes to Vrindavan, and Vrindavan he meets Uddhava. And from Uddhava he comes to know about how Lord Krishna has disappeared, and how Lord Krishna, before he left, he gave very important instructions to Uddhava. So Vidura asked Uddhava to also give him those instructions, but Uddhava guided him to come to Maitreya Rishi. Prabhupada says in the purport that Uddhava felt that Vidura is a very elderly person, very senior Vaishnava, so he should not give him those instructions, but better Maitreya Muni, who is a similarly older and elder devotee, could also speak the same thing. So Vidura left Vrindavan and has come to Haridwar. And in Haridwar, he is sitting in front of Maitreya Rishi, and they are having this Bodhayanta Parasparam. They are speaking about, discussing on Bhagavatam. Quite amazing. Vidura is a Mahabhagavat devotee, and Maitreya Rishi, who was initially a Jnana Mishra Bhakta, after associating with Krishna and Uddhava, he became a pure devotee. So two pure devotees are meeting, and we are hearing the conversation about universal form. That's amazing, right? Many times our understanding is that when great Vaishnavas meet, they would speak about direct something about Vrindavan, Krishna Katha. But here we are very much intrigued that Vidura's questions are pertaining to creation of this cosmic manifestation. Srila Prabhupada gives understanding of why Vidura asked this kind of questions to Maitreya Rishi. Prabhupada says, these are common questions, Prabhupada mentions in one purport. And Vidura's originally, these were not the intention of asking such questions. But when he was impelled by Uddhava to go to Maitreya Rishi, Uddhava told him to ask all kinds of truths concerning Lord's form, pastimes, Lord's fame, quality. So Vidura wanted to speak about Lord, wanted to ask about Lord immediately, but he rather followed the etiquette of going properly and asking about the creation of the Lord, because he knew that this discussion is very important and very important for future generation. So Prabhupada says, for a common man, Vidura decided to ask from Maitreya Rishi such questions. So Prabhupada says he is asking on behalf of all common people. So here in this particular chapter, creation of the universal form, a great details is given about how the universal form Lord manifested and all the demigods themselves connected with this universal form. I was referring to just morning our Keshav Maharaj's beautiful compact, Bhagavatam compact. Thank you Maharaj for writing this, compiling this book. So he mentions this as this canto is saves, S-A-V-E-S. And particularly this chapter is called as A, that is assembly and activation. So Lord is manifesting, is showing the universal form to all the demigods. And this Sarga and Visarga. Sarga is primary creation which Lord does, and Visarga is the creation of Brahma. And later Brahma connects, arranges the population to be increased through Swayambhu Manu and Satarupa. So this is a classical example of a perfect question, perfect answer. There is a perfect question asked by Vidura, and Maitreya Rishi is giving a perfect answer. Srila Prabhupada always would emphasize devotees to ask questions, and the questions have to be also relevant. One time Srila Prabhupada was giving a darshan in the evening, and devotees would ask many questions to Prabhupada. So one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada this very strange question. Prabhupada, how many other people are on this planet who are equally advanced like you? So Prabhupada said, some, not many. And Prabhupada said, there are few. Prabhupada said, but I don't have statistics in my possession, Prabhupada said. Then Prabhupada said, what is the use of statistics? What is the use of knowing how many of them are like me? Why don't you become one? Then Prabhupada gave an example that when you go to buy a plane ticket, you just buy a plane ticket. You don't ask, how many tickets are sold already, right? You just buy a plane ticket and just travel on the plane. So Prabhupada says, instead of asking how many are there, you better become one. And Prabhupada said one should ask spiritual master relevant questions and not irrelevant things. So here, Vidura is asking a relevant question that he wants to know how this whole creation has come into being. And in this particular purport and the translation, we see how Maitreya Rishi is also very aptly answering Vidura's question. We are mentioning of Prabhupada's darshan, right? Now we need to know what is the meaning of darshan. Darshan, as we know, Shringar darshan, we see the Lord. So Prabhupada darshan meant Prabhupada, we see Prabhupada. But darshan also means in Sanskrit to hear, to understand by, not just by seeing, but by ears. That's also called darshan. Therefore, Vedanta darshan, the sixth philosophy of darshan shastra. Philosophy is also called as darshan. Like for example, if you are explaining some concepts to any devotee, after explaining the concept, you ask him, so are you able to see what I mean? Are you able to see what I mean? We are not showing anything to him, but we are explaining, and finally we are asserting, are you able to see what I mean? That means the most important seeing is not just by eyes, but by understanding. And that's what here he mentioned, where in this whole darshan, where the universal manifestation is not actually seen. No one is able to see that. It's a temporary imagination form. Yet, the most important thing is to hear and understand the darshan shastra. So in this verse, the demigods are praying to the Supreme Lord to let them know what is their service, and in reciprocation, the Supreme Lord is manifesting the universal form. We just had our Janmashtami celebration, and we all know that how the demigods had prayed to Supreme Personality of Godhead near the Shweta ocean, and they wanted Lord to appear to annihilate the miscreants, especially Kamsa. So Lord appeared at that time as Supreme Personality of Godhead and perform his pastimes. Now here demigods are also praying, but they are praying for a service. The demigods are made in charge of various departments by Lord himself. Yet they were confused that they were appointed, but they did not know what to do. So therefore Lord here manifests the whole universal creation, the universal form, and in that universal form they can find their services. As we go on other purports in the future verses, we will see beautifully that how Lord is going to manifest his mouth, and then in the mouth there Agni got his place, then the two eyes and the nostrils and ears, all demigods will find their place where they are to be situated and from where they will start doing their work. So you'll find the universal form of the Lord is a very captivating form, especially for those who are impersonalists. Prabhupada says the impersonalists are captivated by the gigantic universal form of the Supreme. Prabhupada mentions in one more purport that generally non-devotees are more attracted to this Virat Purusha, Virat Rupa, universal form. I remember very many years back when I was a small child, and that time in television this one serial was coming of Mahabharata. And I was very excited when the Bhagavad Gita narration began on that particular serial. But especially I was waiting for the universal form to be manifested, something gigantic, big to be shown. But later when I came to Krishna consciousness, I understood that devotees are not much interested in universal form. Devotees want to see Lord in his beautiful Tribhanga form. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that Lord showed his universal form to Mother Yashoda and also to Arjuna. But they were not interested in universal form. Like Mother Yashoda saw universal form of the Lord in Krishna's mouth 2 times. One is when Krishna was yawning, and second was when Krishna ate the mud. So both times Mother Yashoda saw the universal form in Krishna's mouth. But what was her reaction? She was aghast. She was thinking, what is this in my child's mouth? Let me perform some prayers. She was praying to Lord Shiva, Asheshwar Mahadev, remove this ghost from my child's mouth. So she saw universal form, she was not interested. Arjuna, he wanted to show how Krishna is supreme. So he requested Krishna to manifest his universal form. So 11th chapter, Krishna showed his universal form. But after seeing the universal form, Arjuna was telling Krishna, please close this universal form. It is very ghastly. So devotees are not interested in universal form. But the Mayavadis and for non-devotees, it is much more they are very much interested. In fact, generally, Krishna would show universal form to atheists and those who are demoniac. Like Krishna showed his partial universal form to Duryodhana. But Duryodhana thought Krishna is doing magic, and he tried to control Krishna or capture Krishna. So in this way, though devotees do not want or are not interested in Krishna's universal form, but they request Krishna to show universal form for people to ascertain that this person is not ordinary. Right? When Krishna was driving the chariot of Arjuna, Arjuna wanted everyone to know that he is not a chariot driver. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he is driving the chariot. And therefore the universal form was manifested for others to see. So we can see here that how Srila Prabhupada very beautifully mentions that universal form cannot be understood by mental speculation. For that also we need proper guidance. Prabhupada gives example of two kinds of mental speculators here. One is impersonalist and second is PhD research scholars. So they both base their knowledge or acquiring knowledge from the idea of that I will get this knowledge by my own self. So we have two kinds of acquiring knowledge. One is Avaroha Pant, other is Aroha Pant. So Avaroha Pant means descending knowledge or deductive knowledge. So Prabhupada says this is perfect way of getting knowledge because we approach the perfect, that is Krishna, and through the parampara we get knowledge, therefore knowledge is perfect. The other is Aroha Pantha, which the impersonalist or the research scholar they go through, where they try to get knowledge of Supreme by their own means, by their own senses, and therefore many times their knowledge is full of errors and mistakes. So we are so fortunate in this ISKCON society that whatever little knowledge we have is based on Avaroha Pantha, where by mercy of Parampara, we get to know what is beyond our understanding. Like the example of universal form. And even universal form of the Lord is not an easy form to even gauge or understand. But thanks to Srila Prabhupada's purports, we know something about universal form because we are going through the parampara of Srila Prabhupada. Like many years back when ISKCON was formed, many devotees in ISKCON, they had no understanding of Krishna. It was Srila Prabhupada who gave everything about Krishna in details. So the first time ever when Prabhupada told devotee painters to draw universal form, it's very interesting to know. Bharadaraj Prabhu recollects that he had gone to Srila Prabhupada to meet, and Prabhupada told him to draw about universal form. And he had no idea how to put the whole universal form in a picture. So Prabhupada told you should draw Mother Yashoda looking at the mouth of Krishna, and inside Krishna's mouth is universal form. And Prabhupada went in details to mention and give details about what the universal form should be. So there should be mountains, there should be ocean, there should be 14 planet systems. And Bharadaraj Prabhu was like, scratching his head, how to put all this in Krishna's mouth. But because Prabhupada was so much explaining in full details, he was just hearing it out. And after hearing everything of Prabhupada, he went back to his room and tried to figure out how to put the whole thing in Krishna's mouth, all the description which Srila Prabhupada gave. So after a few days, he came back to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, I don't understand how to put this whole universal form in Krishna's mouth and make a portrait of that. So Prabhupada said, it's very easy. You draw Mother Yashoda, you draw Krishna, Krishna's mouth should be open, and outside Krishna's mouth, you make a big bubble. And in that bubble, you try to put whatever I told you. So Bharadaraj Prabhu mentions that even for that understanding, we depend on Prabhupada, how to draw. So many things which we know very commonly now, there was involvement of Prabhupada to explain that. Prabhupada was approached by one painter, one devotee painter, and Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, how do I draw Balaramji? So Prabhupada explained some idea. But the devotee did not understand. So Prabhupada had to stand like Balaramji. Okay, I'm this way with plough in hand. Okay, you take my photograph and you draw Balaramji. So we are so fortunate that because we are going through this Avaroha Pantha, it becomes easy. Prabhupada gives two examples. If one wants to know if man is immortal, how do you know? Simple, through authority. If you want to know who your father is, go to mother. So these two classical examples Prabhupada gives to understand that how it's very easy to approach an authority, and through authority one can understand things as they are. So Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead beyond our senses, as the verse mentions, adhokshaja, beyond our senses. But that which is beyond our senses can be known by our senses through the medium of Sri Guru, medium of Srila Prabhupada. So in this particular purpose, Srila Prabhupada is taking all opportunity to smash Mayavadis and also PhD scholars for their endeavor to understand Supreme Lord by themselves. Srila Prabhupada would always very, very strongly speak against the impersonalist Mayavadis. One Srila Prabhupada's very early disciple, Shyam Sundarpur, mentions that initially we were not understanding why Srila Prabhupada is so heavy on impersonalist. Shyam Sundarpur recollects, he thought maybe Srila Prabhupada had some bad time in India with impersonalists, so now he has come to West and is thrashing them. But later he understood that actually the whole concept in the Western world is impersonalism. And Prabhupada had come to smash impersonalism and establish Supreme Personality of God Lord Krishna. And that's why Prabhupada's pranam mantra is Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarani. It's a very beautiful story I recollect from Giriraj Maharaj. So there is this wonderful conversation Prabhupada had with many of life members there. There was one person who would regularly come and meet Prabhupada during the morning walk. This was Dr. Patel, very famous person. So Dr. Patel, he would always claim that he was born in a Vaishnava family. But devotees were confused whether he is a Vaishnava or he is a Mayavadi. And sometimes he would look like a nationalist also. So every morning Prabhupada's walk on the Juhu beach, Dr. Patel would join in. So one particular time, Srila Prabhupada criticized one Mayavadi personality whom Dr. Patel admired. So Dr. Patel became very heavy, very angry. He said, "How can you criticize him, Prabhupada?" So Prabhupada said, "I am not criticizing, Krishna is criticizing him." No, you are criticizing. So Prabhupada immediately pulled up the Bhagavad Gita and said, "See, Krishna says, avajananti ma mudha manushim tanimashritam." So Prabhupada said, "See, Krishna is saying, not me." No, Swamiji, you are saying. No, Krishna is saying. So there was an argument between Prabhupada and Dr. Patel. Yash Radha Gokulanand ki jai, Sitaram Lakshmanaman ki jai. So there was a heated argument with Dr. Patel and Srila Prabhupada. Dr. Patel was shouting, and Srila Prabhupada was also speaking strongly that I am not criticizing, Krishna is criticizing. And finally, Dr. Patel had some friends with him. So they pulled him and said, let's go today. Please don't be angry on Swamiji, he's old person, no? And they dragged Dr. Patel along with them. When they came back, the devotees are bewildered by the whole thing, that how can someone criticize their spiritual master in front of him? So Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj approached Srila Prabhupada and said, "Prabhupada, why you spend so much time with Dr. Patel? Who is he? We don't know. Whether he's a Mayavadi or he's a Vaishnava or he's a nationalist." And Prabhupada smiled, chuckled, and Prabhupada said, "I'll tell you a story." Prabhupada said there was one person who was multilinguistic. He knew many languages. And he had given a challenge to everyone to tell his original mother tongue, which language actually he spoke, native language. And no one could ascertain because he spoke all the languages fluently. So one day he was speaking on a dais, and one person took the challenge to get out from this person what his native language was. So from behind, without him knowing, Prabhupada said he just whacked him on the back so hard that this person was so much in pain, he turned around, saw this person and gave high-class abusive language in his native language, abusive words. So Prabhupada said, see, because he got pain, so what came out was his original language. So Prabhupada said, similarly, Dr. Patel, he was saying that I am a Vaishnava, I am not Mayavadi. But I whacked him right in that place where he pains, and out came all the Mayavad. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, why are you spending so much time with him? Why are you so tolerant about him? He's a Mayavadi, Prabhupada." So Prabhupada said, "Yes, I know he's a Mayavadi, but I want to engage him in Krishna's service. So therefore I am not leaving him." So Giriraj Maharaj explains this whole pastime that Prabhupada properly tolerated him and also engaged him. Giriraj Maharaj mentioned there are many conversations between Dr. Patel and Srila Prabhupada which are very meaningful conversations. And Giriraj Maharaj mentions that Dr. Patel would come and get attracted to Srila Prabhupada's preaching, and all the Western disciples of Srila Prabhupada living in an austere place in the land of Juhu where there was no temple. So he went on to contribute many ways to help the devotees. Giriraj Maharaj mentions that Dr. Patel once saw the devotees had not enough mattress and they were affected of malaria. So he went to the local market and begged from each shop money. And with that money, he bought around 12 set of blankets, mosquito nets, and pillows, and gave it to devotees. So Maharaj mentions that actually Prabhupada wanted to encourage and engage even a Mayavadi in Krishna Seva. One time Srila Prabhupada was approached by a Mayavadi scholar and he gave some pamphlets to Prabhupada about his program. Prabhupada kept the pamphlets. After few hours, he saw devotees distributing prasad. So Prabhupada gave the pamphlets, you can use this paper plate and eat prasad in that. So devotees saw that Prabhupada had a very strong point against the Mayavadis, but he also had a compassionate heart to somehow engage them in some service to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was in New York, and an old man was constantly in touch with Prabhupada through letters. So he wanted to meet Prabhupada. So Prabhupada told him that I am in New York City in this place, you can come meet me. So the old man came to meet Prabhupada, and this old man started complaining to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, your disciples, they criticize this particular Mayavadi. Of course, this person was, I can't name him here, but some mission in Bengal. So devotees had criticized, so he was not happy because he was following one of those Mayavadis. So Prabhupada, what do you say about him? So Prabhupada said, what is his philosophy? So then he told his philosophy. He said, so my disciples are criticizing? Yes, and they say that you also criticize him. Oh, so if my disciples are saying that I am saying, and if I am not saying, then they are rascals. So this old man was very happy that Prabhupada was actually kind of supporting him. Then he asked Prabhupada, what do you think about this person? Prabhupada, this is the old days of, initial days of ISKCON, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita had not come. So Prabhupada was referring one Bhagavad Gita of Dr. Radhakrishnan. So Prabhupada pulled up the Bhagavad Gita, Blue Gita, and Prabhupada opened a verse and said, read this verse. So it was the same verse, avajananti ma mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam avajajananto. And Prabhupada says, so now we read the translation. So he read the translation. So roughly translation mentions that how Lord is supreme and Lord is a controller, like that. And in the purport, now you read the purport of this person. So in the purport, that gentleman had written, we should not surrender to Krishna, but surrender to something within Krishna. Then Prabhupada stopped. So you see, Krishna is saying surrender to me, and he is saying surrender to something within Krishna, and therefore I say he is a rascal. So the old man got convinced. So Prabhupada was not criticizing out of his, he had some issues with him, but actually he was criticizing based on philosophy. So here we can see Srila Prabhupada was very strong against the Mayavadis because he knew that Mayavadi philosophy is a philosophy of offending Krishna's personal form, right? Even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also mentioned, Mayavadi bhashya sunile hoye sharvanash. One time Srila Prabhupada was in Pandal program, and this was kind of a Gita Sammelan where all the scholars had come from different sampradayas, including Shankara Sampradaya. So Prabhupada was sitting in the audience, and his turn was the last turn. And there was one fan in the Pandal. This fan was a big fan, a typical Pandal fan, which was giving more sound than the air. So that fan was going on. And this gentleman who was on the stage, a Mayavadi, started speaking. And Prabhupada was not able to hear what he is saying. So Prabhupada just turned around and looked at the fan. There was one devotee sitting near the fan. So when Prabhupada saw the fan, this devotee understood that this fan is disturbing Prabhupada, he can't hear. So he switched off the fan. So Prabhupada nodded his head. And Prabhupada started hearing this Mayavadi speak. And after 2 minutes, Prabhupada was feeling very uneasy. Prabhupada turned around and looked at the fan. So devotee understood, started again on the fan. And Prabhupada nodded it. This sound is better than that sound, you know. So Srila Prabhupada was very much training all devotees and disciples how to deal with the Mayavadis. In one such program, when Prabhupada did not speak, he asked Gurudas Prabhu to speak amidst all the different speakers are there. So Gurudas Prabhu went there and he said, everyone is saying everything is one here. But how can everything be one? And Gurudas Prabhu gave a very graphic example. How can rasgulla be same as stool on the street? Can you eat stool on the street? And all these dignitaries who were all big Mayavadis, sannyasis, very cultured, they were thinking, what a ghastly example is this? How can you compare rasgulla and stool? So they were very disturbed. So later they came to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, what is this? You are trained your disciples, they are calling rasgulla and is same as stool, and they ask, and they are saying that you are eating stool on the street. Is this good? So Prabhupada said, my disciples are new, they don't know. They sometimes give gross examples also. So please forgive them. So the Mayavadi went away, and then Prabhupada called Gurudas. By the way, what was the example you said? So Prabhupada said, rasgulla and stool, are they same? Prabhupada said, very nice example. You can keep quoting that example. So Prabhupada was always encouraging devotees how they should deal with Mayavadis. So we need to know that we are very fortunate that many of us got connected to Krishna consciousness directly to Srila Prabhupada's philosophy. Prabhupada is presenting everything as it is. All we need to know is just read Prabhupada books, understand them, and be on the right path. We don't have to get diverted from all these different research scholars or a Mayavadi or some other isms. One devotee has mentioned there are 234 isms in this world. Thanks to Srila Prabhupada, we don't have to go to all those isms. We just read Prabhupada book and understand the whole idea here. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, he gave a wonderful example some years back. He was mentioning about book distribution. And Gopal Krishna Maharaj mentioning about one lady disciple of his. This lady was doing her PhD in atheism, and she had almost completed her thesis, very fat thesis, and about to submit. And she was going out, and someone gave her a book of Prabhupada. She picked up the book, read only 3 chapters of Srila Prabhupada, and after that she was convinced that actually the atheism is all bogus, only Krishna is Supreme Personality. She came back home, she took that whole thesis for which she had worked hard for years, she took a lighter and burned the whole thesis. And she went on to become a devotee, chanted 16 rounds and became a disciple of Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So Maharaj mentioning that how whole life she had given to write about atheism, but by reading Prabhupada books, just few pages, she was convinced the absolute truth. So Prabhupada books, as Prabhupada mentions here, Avaroha Panta, approaching Prabhupada through, approaching Krishna through spiritual master is a very sure, short way of understanding Krishna very easily. We don't have to be confused like what is universal form or what are different dimensions of spiritual science. All we read is Prabhupada teachings, and through Prabhupada teachings we know the clarity of what spiritual life is all about. Prabhupada is also mentioning about here a PhD scholar. Prabhupada calls this plow department, right? In one particular place, Prabhupada is called PhD as pothole digger. Prabhupada calls in one place, this civilization is digging and piling up civilization. They keep digging and they pile up something. And that's called modern civilization. So Prabhupada had his unique words to describe. There are many things which Prabhupada uniquely has mentioned in the Bhagavatam in the pages of his teachings. So Prabhupada also was, like he calls PhD scholar here as a frog in the well. A frog is trying to understand the Pacific Ocean, and his understanding is based on his body. So he's bulging his body. How big is the ocean? And finally bursts and he dies. So no one can understand Krishna by his senses because Krishna is Adhokshaja. So by the means of approaching parampara, through Guru Parampara, we read about Krishna, and whatever knowledge of Krishna we have is very easily obtained, and we follow that knowledge. One very intellectual person once came on a book table. His hobby was very strange. He would read many famous authors' books and find faults in those books. So he would find fault, and then he would get the email ID of that author and write to them. By the way, your book is very best-selling, but these are the faults in your book. Kindly, in the next edition, please make a change. That was his hobby. So he'd go around. So one day he saw devotees distributing books. So he went there, he was going through the books. He said, these books are written by whom? So he showed the photo of, this is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Okay, so is this book perfect? He said, yes, it is perfect. Prabhupada is following the perfect parampara, is coming from Krishna. How can it be perfect? Because I am experienced that no book is perfect. So devotee thought, let's not discuss or argue. Let's give him a book. And maybe by reading book he'll change. So he said that you buy one book and you read it, you find anything wrong, you may point it out and you can write to the BBT. So he thought the idea is good. Now devotee was such a wonderful book distributor. He said, see, you're going to come again and again, one book, two book. Why don't you take the whole Bhagavatam set with you? He convinced him to buy the whole Bhagavatam set. He took the whole Bhagavatam set and went home. So his idea was he would read books and while reading he would drink, smoke. So he began the first canto. And the whole first canto, he did not find even one mistake. And he was drinking and he was going through the whole book. After first canto, he gave up drinking. He took the second canto, trying to find the fault. No fault. After second canto, he stopped smoking. And now he was really very much anxious. This third canto, I will definitely find faults. He read the whole third canto. He could not find any fault. He went to the temple. He said, what kind of book is this? There is no fault. Then devotee preached to him. He joined the temple. And he daily distributes Srila Prabhupada's books now. So you find people who are astray, they come to path just by reading Prabhupada's few words, few books. And this is the power of parampara. So here we see the demigods are praying to Krishna that kindly show us where our positions are. And these are very intricate details. Bhagavatam is not very easy to digest. It looks very easy to look at, but the philosophy of Bhagavatam is it is Paramahamsa Samhita. It is meant for the most highest liberated devotees, right? And yet we are here able to read Bhagavatam, able to understand something thanks to Srila Prabhupada. And because of Srila Prabhupada, things have become so easy. And just by following Prabhupada in this way, we can understand Krishna more in details. So here we can see Prabhupada is urging all of us that we approach a Supreme Personality of Godhead through parampara and not like a Mayavadi or not like a PhD scholar who try to understand Krishna by their own particular means. So we'll end here. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Any comments, any questions? Yes, Maharaj. Comments?
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice, very wonderful class. So many nice pastimes of Prabhupada. But Prabhu, is there a difference between the Virat Rupa and the Vishvarupa? Can you say something about that?
The Virat Rupa and Vishvarupa, the universal form of the Lord, are the same. Virat Purusha, Virat Rupa, Vishvarupa. It is the same concept which is differently described in different scriptures. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, we will find more about Vishwarup mentioned. And in Bhagavatam, we have Virat Rup more, or Virat Purusha. The manifestation of Vishwarup and Virat Rup at different times may be different. Like it is not the same Vishwarup and Virat Rup were manifested by Krishna. That for Duryodhan and for Arjuna, for Mother Yashoda, they are different. Because it's an imaginary form, it is not. Prabhupada mentions in one place that there is no Vishwarup in the spiritual world. Vishwarup is only the assembly of all the different systems which are there in Krishna's creation. And that is seen as a Vishwarup, which Krishna manifested to show to Duryodhana about his power and also to Arjuna because he wanted to see this. So Vishwarup, Virat Rup and Virat Purusha all mean the same. Is that okay? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I just had one question. You're describing Maitreya and Vidura having this conversation at the beginning, and one of the reasons why they're asking questions about the creation, etc., is for the wider audience to then get this knowledge that we'll then sort of experience and be able to understand this knowledge through their conversation. I'm just wondering, in terms of these two great devotees are having a conversation, are they actually consciously aware that this conversation is going to be put into a book that's going to be read 5,000 years or how many so long in the future? Are they just having a conversation? How do they actually know that this conversation is going to spread beyond just the two of them sitting in Haridwar?
I also thought about this question when I was reading this particular purport of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada mentions that Vidura asked this question because he wanted to benefit the mankind, the common people. Well, I am not aware of whether they, in this conversation, whether beyond them there were some people also who were sitting and hearing this. As in the case of Shukdev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, definitely many more were sitting. And therefore many questions of Parikshit Maharaj and answers of Shukdev Goswami were like a build-up. The second kind of the first and second kind of Srimad Bhagavatam, when see about how Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj were very much aware that there are also different kinds of audience, like impersonalist or Jnana Mishra, Karo Mishra Bhakta. And therefore descriptions about pure devotional service gradually coming in so that they will also be interested and they will continue to be in the Bhagavatam and come to the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam. So definitely in Shukdev Goswami's case, the audience were a mixed audience. But in case of Maitreya Rishi and Vidura, nothing about that description is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. And also the BBT paints also do not contain any such information. They're only, when you see painting of Maitreya Rishi speaking to Vidura, just two of them are sitting on the banks of Ganges. So I'm not much aware of this. Maybe that the sound vibration was much more beyond just a place, one place. Like one devotee asked His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj when we went for one yatra in Naimisharanya. So in Naimisharanya, Suta Goswami was speaking to Shaunaka Adi Rishi. And how many rishis were there? Thousands and thousands of them. Now if you want to give a class, you need a microphone, right? Now can you imagine Suta Goswami speaking to thousands and thousands of them in open area? So how do you understand that, how that knowledge would reach? So Maharaj was mentioning, actually it is not that this knowledge was spoken in a microphone, but the knowledge was transmitted heart to heart. People were able to even hear this divine transmission even though they were very far away. So you see that the modern understanding of hearing is based on a particular place where we are located. Of course, now, thanks to the pandemic, we also know about how online people can hear very far away, right? People would actually, when you give a class, many devotees would leave a message, Prabhu, you give a nice class, and they are staying, they are maybe in East London or in Manchester. So they are not staying here, but they are hearing. So we have an understanding of online now, thanks to the internet era. But the same concept also happened in the previous ages, where the internet was not there, but a divine transfusion was there. The communication language was through not just a particular place to place, but people were also able to hear beyond the place. Many examples, Bhagavatam, like Krishna, when Lord Brahma was in the lotus and he was thinking where he has come from. Here is the word tapa, right? Now Lord Narayan did not come and spoke tapa to him directly, but it was like a divine revelation. So, transcendental sound vibration, especially between great souls, were beyond the scope of a physical location. Those transcendental vibrations were also available, and people could tap those vibrations and they could hear that also. So that one concept also could be relevant here, even though Vidura and Maitreya Rishi may sit alone, as per the picture of VBT. But there may be many devotees who may have tapped, because this Vidura and Maitreya Samvad is not a secret Samvad. It happened for many days, and the people were aware the great Vidura has come to Haridwar. Haridwar is it's not a lonely place, it is a place of great sages. So everyone came to know when great devotees come there. And when they must also tapped in at their own location and heard this whole thing. And that's why Vidura is asking questions which are a general question for everyone's benefit, and finally come to asking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. Is it okay? Anyone wants to add on this particular question? This is a very nice question which he asked about very scientifically. How do you understand whether Vidura and Maitri conversation was only just between two of them or many other devotees are involved?
Thank you.
The same thing you want to ask? Something else?
Something else.
Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, please. So last question we'll take and then we'll end. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful class. Well, the universal form, even though it's temporary and material, but still a form. So why Mayavadis should be interested in that?
Mayavadis don't take this universal form as Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, not as imagination, but they say that just like universal form is imagination and there is no cause behind it, similarly this whole thing is false. Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. Like the Supreme Lord is called as absolute truth. So spiritual world and the material world are diametrically opposite. So we call, based on our parampara, Supreme Lord is absolute truth and this material world is relative truth. Right? But the Mayavadis call this as Supreme Lord is absolute truth and this material world is absolute false. That means this world is completely false. There is no chance of existence. And therefore this universal form fits in their bill. And therefore they are attracted. See, there is universal form, there is nothing beyond it. It is all imagination. So therefore there is no cause. Ultimately cause is Brahman. So that's why they are attracted. Because their philosophy, they can connect very easily. But to Supreme Lord's personal form, they are not able to connect. Right? As soon as they read Bhagavatam and they come to know Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead having his beautiful threefold bending form, they can't relate and they can't explain also that. But for universal form, they can easily connect because that's what they are preaching, that everything is false. So that's why they are more into this universal form. They get attracted to universal form. Is that okay?
Thank you. So they think because it is false, then they are interested?
Yeah. They consider that universal form has no cause. There is no cause.
Oh.
That's it. And this is everything. But we as Vaishnavas know that universal form has come from Supreme Lord Himself. He has manifested as universal form. But the Mayavadis, they say that the universal form is be all and all. Like Prabhupada mentions. They think that the control behind this gigantic manifestation is imagination. Then Prabhupada gives example that intelligent people, they know that if the child is developing in the body of mother because the mother is living and therefore child is developing, the body of child is developing. Similarly, Prabhupada says that an intelligent person can understand if a universal form is shown here, it has been manifested. That means beyond this universal form there is someone who is showing this universal form. But the Mayavadis consider this universal form as all in all. And this is imagination, and just because this is imagination, everything is imagination, and because this is false, everything is false. That's the philosophy. So this is how they connect their philosophy with the universal form. A little difficult, but bit of a, what Prabhupada mentions, little bit more clarity is there.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So land here, Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrind ki jai.